Hi, I'm Armin and you're watching Moto, and this behind me is my 2022 BMW S1000 RR, which was the base spec, and we're turning it into a track bike. So here you can see there's a little bit of an addition. We installed a full titanium Akrapovic race exhaust, and I'm really excited to have this on the bike. The bike is also now flashed, so big steps. I'm not going to show my videos how to flash it. It's pretty simple. You just plug it in, follow instructions. But in this video there will be a full description, well, step by step, how we are installing this. Installing a full exhaust system, especially when you don't remove the radiators, is quite a bit of work. So I'm not going to show every step, but like a quick summary of everything that I did, so you can get an idea of what's involved for doing this as well. Obviously the bike is now a lot louder, and before we jump into the install, I'm going to give you a little listen. Oh boy, of course it's only recorded with an iPhone, but my ears are popping and ringing a little bit. This is a very loud exhaust, right? It's a full titanium race exhaust, so it has no catalytic conveyor or anything that would hold any of the sound back. So it is loud, and I would only recommend this for the racetrack, because even if you love it so much on the road, it is really loud and not very friendly to the hearing of others. But hey, you do you. This is a track bike, so it's going to be made only for the track. Okie dokie, quick sound check done. I'm going to continue my test ride and enjoy this bike a little bit more. But next up is previous me, where I actually put this bike on a scale to see how much of a difference this full titanium system makes on the bike, to see like how many pounds are falling off the bike, and we're getting it lighter, because for a track machine you want to have it as light as possible. Anyway, I'm going to ride and enjoy the video. And today we are getting a little bit onto the ground. So I'm really excited about this because I never had this before on any of my track bikes. I always had just a slip-on exhaust that was replacing the stock can. But as this is going to be a dedicated track bike, if you're new to the series, this is a track build series. So I will have all the videos about modification to this bike. And today is a big one. We have this super cool titanium full system from Akrapovic, and we're going to install it today. As the install is probably going to be super long, I will only talk about a couple of install steps, so you don't have to watch a 2-3 hour long video. But anything that's really difficult, I will do a quick narration of that, and let's just move through it. And especially later on, I will also weigh the bike, of how much it weighs with this. While we are here, I will, the bike is pretty naked from the front. I will put on a radiator guard, so any stones that get picked up by those sticky slick tires on the racetrack don't just destroy your radiator and you leave all the coolant over the racetrack and get stranded. So first, titanium system, and then the guard for the radiators. And we have a couple of other modifications, but let's start with one of the nitpicks of mine that I have with this bike, which is the fake shark fin. In earlier models, this shark fin was part really of the ventilation. Now it's like this little bolt-on piece that nobody needs. So we're just gonna remove it. You have a screw here with our trusty standard tool, and you have a screw here on the front. And this is all you need to take this off. So it's nice that this is now a little bit more flexible. The first generation had very brittle plastic, so it's good to see that BMW went back to the drawing board and made it now a flexible plastic, so it doesn't break off. So many of those broke off in the first gen, so that is fixed now. Anyway, we're gonna remove this. A, we don't need it anyway, and B, this bike is gonna get race fairings, so we have no use for this, and a couple of little grams saved. So putting this away. Now, one thing that's cool about Akrapovic is it has this really detailed instructions. So we have here removal instructions, right? Like step 1, remove the stock exhaust system, right? So take this screw out, then undo this bracket, which is not needed here, right? We don't have the foot pegs on the bike, nothing there. Then 2 different brackets for the double R and the single R. are here provided. And so there's more about the bracket installation for the foot pegs, but that's not a problem. Then it even shows you how to remove the fairings. We have already done this, so you can see that in the video here in the upper right corner, how to take off the fairings of a double R. It's really cool though that they have all these instructions. And then you remove the bracket and then the sensors, etc, etc. Then they remove even the foot pegs. They remove the cables and the little step motor for the flap in the exhaust. We're going to do that as well. Then you loosen the bracket under the bike. Then you remove the servo. And there's even like instructions on how to open the servo and do modifications to take the cables out. But we have a brand tune, so the nice thing is you can just take the servo out completely with the brand tune and there should be no error message. You can also get a servo body, but with brand tunes you don't need those any longer. So yeah, this is all about the removal and then it goes into the installation. So let's get cracking, get this stock exhaust off, and then we're going to talk more. Because we have the Gillis aftermarket rear sets. We have here a Torx 50. And the stock exhaust has a nice self-securing nut. Then a 13mm to loosen up the bracket down here. And we take this one off, stock muffler, and this can stay on there because we won't need that anymore. Okay, next step, Torx 40. We just will loosen, well, we have to take them out, but we're not going to remove the rear set entirely. We're just going to make some room. Now that we have this off, we have actually two things to do. This little bracket can be removed. So you need a T30, and this is only for the Gillis sets, right? They're made for racing, so you can remove the exhaust bracket because it's made for racing, and race exhausts are suspended from up here on the subframe. Okay, cracking them open was a little bit hard, but then we can wrench them out. Definitely some good amount of Loctite on them. So this beautiful piece of aluminum comes off, and put it aside in case you ever want to put it back to stock. But yeah, this little piece, not very heavy, but not needed anymore. And of course it also cleans up the look here now, so you don't have this bracket there. But the second reason is we need to get in here, and so this will be handy to have out of the way. All right, let me get you a little bit closer. You see this little box, we're gonna get that screw and remove it so that we have access and can remove this, and then get the little flapper. There's a flapper in there that can open and close, and that is for back pressure and also noise regulation. So that entire thing comes out, and we're gonna follow the cables, and then this little box here, which is right there, just like you remove the screw, and then this one, the fat finger's in the way, this comes all out. So let's do that. Good, this was an 8mm, so that came out. And then you need to remove this little plastic cover. That does the trick. You can see why having the foot peg out of the way is really nice. So this one, just like these cables, pull this and that closes the flapper here. So next thing is loosen up the nuts here. It's probably like a size 10 or so. So it's all a bit obstructed. And then you're gonna do it with the second one, and then you just disconnect the cables like so. And then we're gonna get it out. Good, both cables are free now. And you can actually also just twist this bigger part. Just keep in mind, because you're not twisting a nut, you have to push this one the other side, so the right, to open it. So these go in here, and here, this is the screw that we're going to loosen up now to get this little black box out. So I'm just going to put you aside, loosen this one, and then see if I can get it out. So I took out this screw. Now this, pardon my reach, should just come out, and it does. Now this is of course electronic connected, so there will be a cable. So don't just pull it out like a maniac. We have to disconnect this cable here first. Now I can finally see, so you have to get under that clip, lift that up, and free it comes. And I'm just feeding on the other side, one cable at a time. It's actually a pretty tight fit. And so many things that get stuck. So don't yank it. Cable number 1 is free. So yeah, these things have a really tendency to get stuck, so take your time until you have both out. And then this entire contraption becomes free. So this is all weight we don't need on the bike anymore. It's only for the noise regulation, and you don't need it on a race bike. So all weight savings. We have one bracket here. I'm going to remove that because we don't need that anymore, because it was really holding only this one device. You could feed a cable through there. Maybe it does for the DDC, but we don't, so we're going to remove this, and then I'm going to attach it to this thing back so we know where it came from. Now this is the cable that was connected to it, so this would just flag you around and hit the swing arm. So we're going to just take a zip tie and put it into the spot like so. So I'm just going to put one there. I'm not going to film it, but yeah, zip tie it up so it doesn't dangle around. That's taken care of. Next step, we have the small band and the full band oxygen sensors. So we're going to remove the small band. The full band we're going to remove when it's right there. We're going to remove when the exhaust is being dropped down. So that will be later. But yeah, remove this on both sides. And then there's also a mounting bracket right here, but you access the screw from the other side to loosen up the exhaust. Okay, here in the front, we're gonna disconnect this cable. This is going for the 2 front sensors. And when we lower the sensor, so you can twist this out, but you wanna disconnect it. So when we lower it, that the cable doesn't snap. But yeah, take off this connector. I don't want to do it with one hand. And then after that, we take this bracket out, that one, because that is holding the oil cooler and is in the way. So we need to remove that. So this one, you need to pull out and then actually press like so, and then it releases. So, I'm using a little one. So here you can now pull out the cable out of the guiding thing, and then we want to remove this guy. This looks like a hard to focus. This guy there, it looks like a Torx. I will have to see how I can get a tool in there, because the cross pipe here from the stock exhaust is quite in the way. So I will have some fun with that, and once it's out, so I will be back. Yeah, and then this thing comes free. These black prongs are just stuck in there, so if you just pull gently on it, it all comes out. Let's put it aside. Now we're gonna remove these. And for that you wanna have one of these star nuts. It's a 10mm. So we're gonna get this on there and then remove them. There's 2 per header. And as you can see, over there's the fan. So that might be a little bit in the way. Let's see if we have to remove the fan. But yeah, the idea is to loosen up all them headers. All right, here on the other side, I have the charcoal canister just on its cable hanging out. It's usually in this, so you just take it out. I'm gonna remove those 2 brackets, so I have a little bit more access here. Here's the fan. I got all but 1 screw already out. That one is the last one. And the fan I will see if I have to remove it. Of course, if you remove the fan, you will have much better access to there. So maybe it's worthwhile to remove it. Charcoal canister, you don't even need a screw, but we're gonna remove those now and make some room here. All right, I have the rear bracket removed. I'm just suspending this on here. Sure it's not rubbing too much anywhere. I have some protection here over the oil. That looks good. Now it's just a kickstand. And lifting this. And we have a gentle landing. Okie dokie, we can also remove this bracket. We are right now under the swing arm. And this big bracket was only used to hold that heavy exhaust. So more weight savings. So you can see, this is how it was holding the system. All removed. Now, we're gonna remove those lumbar sensors and put them into the new exhaust system. Now we're gonna mount just loosely so they can move around the titanium flanges. We're gonna do this here on another ones. Keep the stock crush washer O-rings, these guys. Just keep them in place as long as they look good. This bike has only 800 miles per hour now on it. So if this is not all crushed, you can reuse them. And yeah, just make it very loose here so they can move. And we're gonna do a test fitting with the new titanium headers. Woohoo! I actually needed to get a bigger wrench. I never had a 22mm wrench. And that is the size that you need for those little sensors. Interesting, so there's definitely some paste on there. And there's also a washer. Nice. So there's the paste on the inside of the threads. You can just reuse that, maybe put a little bit on the sensors and then you should be good. All right, let's use some more anti-seize and the provided special exhaust crushing washers. So the inside is still very well anti-seize prepared. And keep in mind this is anti-seize. So anti-seize is really just to do exactly that, to not seize. So as this is a titanium adapter that goes into the exhaust, there's probably not a lot of reasons why you would ever remove this. So yeah, if it seizes, it's not a big problem. Good. The two full band are installed, and then I have the adapters for the half band or small band sensors here as well as some ceramic paste in there. Make sure nothing falls into the exhaust because the back pressure might suck into the engine, so we don't want that. So now that this is installed, we are almost ready for the marriage where this thing goes inside the bike. But we're gonna use some 70% alcohol first and rub the entire thing down. Reason is exhausts get, of course, really hot. And if they get hot and you left any fat on it, the fat's gonna burn into that pipe forever. Forever, ever, forever, ever. So, rubbing alcohol is great. Just clean it as good as you can. And especially if you want to rock the street fairings, the bottom part is pretty exposed. You definitely want to make sure the parts that you can see later, maybe give them a second rub down so that your titanium looks awesome because they turn blue and all sorts of cool colors. So you probably want to make sure that it's all nice and clean. All right, good enough for me. Now we're gonna get her into the bike. Yeah! Getting one a little bit seated. And this process might take a little bit, just to make sure that you really seat them, that both sides are the same. Make sure that none of the sensors get pinched. And I'll be back when it's all in. Okay, we got some of them relatively far in. Now we're gonna use this nasty looking tool. It's for the exhaust springs. So you pour them, and then I'm putting them on now because it will help you pull them in. And so the middle ones here will be super duper hard to get all. So this will take some time. I'm gonna be back again. You have 10 springs to get in. Then you can still move it more to make sure all the headers are perfectly seated. And then we can finally torque them down. All right, now that these guys are properly seated, we're gonna torque them down to 10 Newton meters. You wanna do this before you put the springs in place because the springs are often right over the socket. Also, you might be not able to reach with this one. You might need some adapters, some flexible pieces so you can articulate this tool and so on and torque it down. Anyway, I'm gonna try doing that right now. So just so you can see one, I'm using my torque wrench with this little guy. So you can finagle it on, and then it doesn't take a lot. So if you do it by hand, 10 Newton meters is not a lot. So this is already 10. So first one down, 3 more to go. This is the hardest part, getting the headers in and getting the springs on and torquing it down. Rest of the installation not so bad. This part kind of sucks. All right, one little trick. So getting these springs in, especially on the side where the ventilator is, can be super painful. So I built this little construction. I just used some 2 big zip ties and have a small zip tie right there around the hook. So I just pull it over, and then once everything is on there, I just go in there with the scissor, snip the small one, and then make sure I have all the plastic removed. Definitely saved me quite a bit of time this way, because you don't always have room for this tool, right? It's pretty big, and some angles you just cannot pull. And with the zip tie, you're flexible, you cut it off, and you're good. Good. Making some progress. So I'm routing the cable now here. Make sure, right, that you don't drill with the screw through it. And this one, for the small band sensor, I went through there. Just make sure it's away from any moving parts. This is the frame, so I have it between the frame and the engine. And pre-twisted, so at least 6 times, so that when you put it in, that the cable is not crazy twisted while it's installed. This one, so I run straight up here, and then it runs under here. And then here, these clips, you just twist like so. So you can take them out and then put them back in. And then I'm just tightening down this bracket again. And then when you're done, just make sure it's all connected. So yeah, just reroute the cables, make sure it doesn't touch the exhaust. Like this one here is a little bit too close, it could touch it. So we probably want to make sure it goes up here. Maybe add a zip tie, maybe through this metal or here. But so you want to make sure it's not touching the exhaust. Touching the engine should be okay. Little cleanup takes a long time, and also the cable for the small band is on the other side too small, so I actually have to detach a couple of zip ties and then see where the cable comes from and reroute it so it can fit the port there on the other side, which is still empty. All right, TBD, be right back. Phew, so progress. Sensors are all in. That's the lambda sensors. On the shifting side, I had to take off the cover over the sprocket and then reroute the cable a little bit, and then it all fit nicely. We attached some zip ties and we're all golden on that side. Here I have a little zip tie right here so that the cable runs next to the clutch cable. So that's all nice and tidy. So I want to make sure that everything is far away from the exhaust. Now, fresh rubber gloves. So we're gonna give the exhaust a last rub down, because last steps are put the end can on and then we can actually fire up. I'm not gonna reassemble everything in this video, fairings, etc. Reason is I'm gonna put here onto the radiator a radiator guard on, because I like you can bend those fins so easily. I also saw this again in this tutorial, or in my torturing of myself to get the exhaust on. It definitely takes quite a while. A very tedious one. If you want to change the coolant and so on, just do yourself a favor and take off the radiator, and life is so much easier for this install. It's definitely possible with the radiator in, but oh boy is it painful, because some things are just not in reach, and dealing with the springs and torquing things down is a pain in the ass. But looks pretty solid when it's all there. So rubbing alcohol, cleaning down the headers, and then I will see you again for putting the end can on, and maybe fire up. What do you think? Alrighty, here we have a little extra, as also from Akrapovic. And so, if you see a photo of this bike, it usually always comes with this. And this is the beautiful carbon fiber sexiness that is the heel guard for this can. So it goes here, something like that, and without it I think the pipe looks pretty long, pretty boring. So we're gonna make sure we put that on. Comes with a nice little shell. Go through here like so. So you're definitely gonna scratch the titanium pipe of your muffler with this. So if you're not sure about this, definitely maybe just put this in place first with something temporary, because the metal is gonna scratch your pipe for sure. Now we need to make sure it clears the hooks for the springs. And then it will look something like this. And here you have the clip that you need to put together. Yeah, end product not bad, but yeah, the mounting hardware is a little clumsy. So we just coated the female part very thinly. All right, we just need to get this one more screw in, and then the exhaust system is installed. Oh, and there's some oil still on here, that's how they ship it. So we're gonna make sure that we remove that, clean it all off, and she's ready to go. And from this side, I'm just gonna put the screw through. And then of course, it would be not a mono video without putting Loctite on something. Putting Loctite in here. Where's the washer? And then for this, they also provided torque. They want 22 Newton meters for the screw. Nice and tight. Last part left, a little bit more rubbing alcohol. Ooh. Clean off everything you touched, right? Especially you want to probably keep the muffler nice looking. You can also use WD-40 for that. It will sit on it, and then you will generate some smoke when you first fire it off. So if it's smoking, that is just burning off the WD-40, so that's normal. Oh snap, and almost forgot. 2 more springs are needed. Get your Captain Hook. Good. The glorious exhaust is installed. And so we also have in another video, very short one, which I will link right here, the oil cooler and radiator protector from BMW installed. So super simple with the stock fairings. Still TBD if that works with the aftermarket fairings, or the race fairings. But now that we have this full titanium exhaust from Akrapovic installed, it's supposed to save quite a bit of weight. If you have not seen this video, I did a weighing of this bike, And I'm using now the method with 2 scales. So you can see under the tires already scales prepared. So now we're gonna go to the exciting part before I'm gonna do a little test ride. We're gonna put the bike on a scale. I'm just gonna hold it with a finger and then time it in the video. When I yell something to look at the scales, I will say when I have essentially feel like I'm not holding the bike at all. That means most of the weight is on the scales, and we will get probably a within 1% accurate reading, which is good enough. We just want to know in what direction we're going and how much weight we're shaving off. So this should be a big one. I'm gonna punch in onto the scale so you can see how the weight of the bike is now. Let's do this. Now it's the best. And results are in. So the bike is roughly 6 kilograms lighter. Right, I won't get the weight to an ounce correct, just because I'm holding it. My technique was I was holding it on the tank ledge and lifting a little bit up. It probably saved 1 or 2 ounces. The idea was to I don't press down with my hand and actually change the weight by that. And so yeah, 195 kilograms, fully wet. The tank is to the brim full, which is not usually how BMW and other officials like Ducati and so on measure the bike. Usually they measure with like 80% fuel or something around that. So from the previous video where I had the same amount of gas, where it was 201 and a little bit kilograms, now it's down to 195. That is 6 kilograms or a little bit more, and that is about 13 pounds lighter. So really big step into the right direction. Of course, the weight is pretty low in the bike. So from the tip-in ability or flickability, you won't probably notice a big difference. But the bike is flashed now and has a full exhaust. So I did already one quick test ride just around the block. And the change is night and day. When you get this bike stock, it's so slow and unresponsive. And you flash it and you get a full exhaust. And it's just like exactly hanging on the throttle. The response of throttle to actually getting the bike moving is much better. The shifts are crisper, and of course the sound. Oh, the sound. I've never had a full exhaust system, and this bike sounds so beautiful. I definitely will put in a little sound clip now as well. So we get a cold start. So you can enjoy this exhaust as well. Of course, this is a track build. I will not ride this a lot on the street, but I will definitely go for a quick test ride around the block, just like to hear this beautiful engine sing. I've never had this uncorked, and oh my God, it's right here. What a feeling. What a feeling. Yeah. All right, so 6 kilos off the bike. There's still a lot of weight to go. We still have the stock fairings and the lights on, and there will be also other mods coming, still waiting for the Öhlins suspension. So definitely stay tuned. If you have not subscribed yet, definitely subscribe and like. That would really help out my channel, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye for now.